Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to Unmuted with Kamisha L. Rogers Jones, Paterson, New Jersey. Stand up. Stand up. If you can hear me, I ask you to give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you hear me, that you can hear me clearly. We are going to have a wonderful conversation on tonight. We're going to talk about community. We're coming with solutions. We're coming with, just really want to get into what's going on in our community and how us as a community can really do our part to ensure the safety of our youth and just coming up with real solutions to what we see happening here. So community, please like, share, follow. You are watching Unmuted, Paterson, New Jersey. Stand up. I have some guests. Good evening. So if you can hear me, I see the comments coming in. I appreciate it. Good evening, everyone. Please like, share, and follow this platform. I have a few guests that are going to join me. We're going to get right into it on tonight. I'm going to add them to our stage. Tonight, I have with me Roshawn Davis. I have Teddy Martinez. For those of you who know them or don't, I want to just give some context to who they are. Roshawn Davis is a lifelong resident of Paterson, New Jersey. He is a member of the Paterson Fire Department. He is also a member of Paterson Bronze Heat, Bronze Shield. Roshawn has been an avid advocate within our community for our youth, for our women and children, for our men of color, all communities. He has done a lot of work within the community to just help push our community forward in the right direction. I also have with me Teddy Martinez. Teddy is also a resident of Paterson, New Jersey, lifelong. He also is the co-creator of Project Reconnect with his beautiful wife, Barbara Martinez. Teddy has deep roots as well as Roshawn in this great city of Paterson, New Jersey. He can definitely speak to what we're seeing with the gun violence. Teddy can also speak to just also giving us some solutions and insight to what we are seeing. I also will have joining me as well. We have Justice Figueroa. Thank you, Justice, for joining us as well. Justice also from Paterson, New Jersey, from the community, also a vivid and outspoken advocate for our community, doing the work within the community. Tonight's platform, as you guys know, if you don't know, I started this podcast about a month or so ago to really answer to a lot of what we've been seeing in the community. For you guys know, Teddy, we're on social media a lot, sharing information and trying to just keep our community educated on what's happening within our city. And so Unmuted was created to answer those questions and to give real information, truthful information to educate our community, because we understand the more we know, the more we will see our community growing and thriving. And that's why Unmuted is here today. And so I want to welcome you all today. Thank you for being here. The community is on. Again, like, share, follow, share with your family and friends, because we're going to have a real conversation tonight about gun violence, beyond gun violence, what we as a community can do to try to help alleviate what we're seeing happening within our community. As you all know, this is election season, and a lot of candidates are putting on their platform public safety. This is what they are standing on. This is one of their pillars of their political platform and what they're running on. But we know that this is much more than just a catchphrase of public safety. This has to be real conversations about what the plan is, what works, and what we should be doing. So I want to give you guys an opportunity first before we get into all that. But this is partly what we're going to be speaking on. This is what we're going to be speaking on. We lost Teddy's back. So I want you guys to come in. One, introduce yourself, speak to what you've done in the community, and the things that you're doing currently in regards to working with our community and our youth. So I'm gonna start with you, Teddy. Teddy, introduce yourself to the community for those who may not know. Give them a little insight on what you do within the community, and I'm gonna go around, and then we're gonna get into the questions and solutions. Go ahead, Teddy.
Okay, first, the community, I want to say thank you for this platform and creating such a platform to be speak about this a variety of issues in the community.
Mm-hmm.
And second, before I go, I want to send my condolences to all the
Yes.
families, other
Yes.
families who lost, their sons and daughters to the violence. Uh, and any time that a young person who's lost to violence or anyone who lost to violence,
Mm-hmm.
it to personally to jump into me, it affects me directly because I'm a gunshot victim myself where I was shot 13 times and I was shot, 11 times once and I was shot two. And also I was convicted of, of shooting as well and, other crimes. So when you're speaking about Teddy Martinez, you're speaking to somebody who has, I didn't come to this platform or
Mm-hmm.
into this community violence with I came with on the job training. I didn't come because it was something that I saw a dollar value in it or anything like that. It was really something that I lived and I experienced. So that's why Project Reconnect was created with
Mm-hmm.
Barber, and from Project Reconnect we found that initially we found that what I'm saying, that everything ties hand in hand, meaning the reentry, homelessness, you know, uh, youth, the mentoring, all that is one underline is all those insecurities, those insecurities that individuals have in their households and stuff. It all points back to potential violent situations, whether or not it's domestic violence or just street violence or just violence among our youth, in the schools as well, bullying and so forth like that. So yeah, again, thank you for having this platform. I also, so you guys know, so the community know, I've served, I'm a felony, I served 18 years in federal prison for various crimes, had a life sentence. I worked to study law to get my life sentence off my own shoulders, which I did with the grace of God. And now, fast forward, I also, in addition to me being the co-founder of Project Reconnect, I
Mm-hmm.
also work for the Attorney General Office in the state of New
Yes.
Jersey. Work collaboratively with the Paterson Police Department and other CBI groups to try to prevent the violence and try to come up with solutions to try to see how can we combat this ongoing issue of violence, not just in our community, but in this nationwide.
Yes, thank you, Teddy. And
Yeah.
we're definitely going to speak to the work you're doing with the Attorney General and Paterson Police, because we also know, and I don't want to veer off because I want Roshan and Justice to have an opportunity to introduce themselves, but there has to be some collaboration with our police department in order for us to really see some things moving forward. And so I also want to speak to that. Roshan, introduce yourself and just give the community some insight on who you are and what you've been doing in the community.
Good evening. My name is Roshan Davis. I'm a 18-year veteran fireman.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also, vice president of the Bronze Heat organization.
Mm-hmm.
Also, vice president of PUVAC, which is Paterson United Veterans Advocacy Council. Also, vice president of the Juneteenth committee. Founder, co-founder of 1,000 Men and 1,000 Women. Um, I work alongside Jordan Bailey with the
Mm-hmm.
Unity Foundation, which we collaborated to, along with Teddy Martinez as well,
Yes.
to create the quarter zip sweater brunch that we do every month, which we have a brunch once a month with the young men of the city of Paterson, and we have speakers that come in and speak to them, giving them their story and inspiring them to do other things and offering them resources. So we out here trying to do our part. We also created a program to where anyone that want to be a firefighter, we created classes to teach you what the tests look like, how to take the test, and what being a fireman is all about.
Yeah.
So we out here trying to do our part, and my condolences as
Yeah.
well to the families. And thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Justice. Thank you so much for joining us. If you could just introduce yourself, let the community know who you are, what you've been doing in the community, and yes, come on in.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me. And I appreciate this platform and you doing what you do because I can't stress enough. And I've said it so many times that we need to be the ministers of information for our people and for our communities. We need to get this stuff out. So platforms like this and other platforms are so much very needed, so that we could get the correct information out there and give a voice to the voiceless. My name is Justice Figueroa. Um, I formerly, was in the streets at one time in my life when I was younger, so me, much like Teddy, I had a history in the streets, but then I cleaned myself up, went to college, educated myself, turned myself around. I was a shift supervisor in a correctional assessment facility for 10 years, Talbot Hall. And then I was a shift supervisor for 2 years at Bo Robinson in Trenton, New Jersey, where I worked directly with prisoners that were re-entering back into society from prison. They would come to our facility first, and then we would assess them and then send them to a halfway house after that. So I had direct contact with a lot of these guys, a lot of these young men that are on the streets now, a lot of the guys that are involved in a lot of this stuff. I had an opportunity to try to redirect their minds and get in their head prior to them entering back into society. A lot of them that had old beefs and, old animosity towards people to try to get them to, let it go, let it slide, move ahead, try to give them alternatives to incarceration, alternatives to being on the streets, drug dealing, and just gang awareness, all that other type of stuff. I'm also a supervising mentor at Jumpstart with Jamie Bland. I've been with
Awesome.
Jamie for 15 years now. I'm the head supervisor of the mentors at Jumpstart. And I'm sure you guys are well aware of the work that we do at Jumpstart with the youth. When I started with Jamie, we was in the cafeteria at Eastside High School. We ain't even have a building, we ain't have a place, and I've been with her ever since. So we do a lot of work with the youth there at Jumpstart. We got the food pantry going on. I do the hour of power with the youth where I talk to them about drugs, alcohol, talk to them about prison, jails, gang awareness. I used to bring in ties. I would teach the young men how to tie ties. I would teach them how to conduct themselves on job interviews, so on and so forth. And I'm boots on the ground in the hood with the kids that's out there on these streets with the shooters, the violence. I'm hands on with them. I'm constantly in the air. I'm constantly out there, just putting in work, trying to find some solutions to try to stem back some of this violence.
Thank you so much, Justice, for sharing, and thank you all of you for joining. I thought it was important for you guys to introduce yourself and let the community know what it is that you guys have been working with within our community for over 25, 30 years. One, because, a lot of people say, oh, what's going on in Paterson? There's nothing going on in Paterson. People aren't really doing anything in Paterson. And right here, we can see three gentlemen who have been doing the work for years, 20, 25 plus years between all of them, really working with our youth, working in our community. And it was important for me that the community hear from you, one, because we want them to understand that, Teddy, and we talk about this all the time, but about you guys being, messengers to what's really happening in the work. You guys are credible messengers to the work. And we want to make sure that the community understands that there are people within the community doing the work, but now we need more buy-in from the community. And so my first question to you guys and to the community, I want you guys to tap in ask some questions, give us some comments, because today we're going to speak to solutions. One, Teddy, I know you were speaking about passing legislation about the mask, the ski mask, right? And I do see a lot of chatter on social media. Some people are against it. Some people are saying, oh, that's not going to solve it. And I caught one of your comments that I thought was really profound, because you said, I'm not saying this is the only solution, but I'm saying that this is something that can help. Can you give us some insight to this legislation you want to get passed, and why it's important to try to move forward with this ski mask ban?
Well, so if we go back into history prior
Mm-hmm.
to the COVID, where they weren't allowed to, walk around freely with masks in June, August, and September, all
Mm-hmm.
those months that the hot summer months, it was easier for, like, and let me say this first before I start, because the thing about it is that I don't want to come across like I'm being a hypocrite, right? Because, like, I'm one of the people that was out there in there with World War ski mask when I went to go do a crime back in the day. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
call it for what it was. So I know I know the potential what a ski mask is. So potentially for those out there who don't understand the statute, Philly has the same statute. It's not something that's Teddy Martinez making up. It's
Mm-hmm.
Philly has it, Trenton had it. Other cities that I've researched, the keywords researched and looked into, and other community violence specific groups that I spoke to that have implemented this policy, that they feel that has showed a decrease in violence. Because one, what it does is that it gives the young men out there who's out there going to commit these crimes, is giving them an excuse not to go commit the crime. Because if you can't wear a mask, then
Mm-hmm.
more than likely you're gonna say, I'm not doing it. So it is a prevention. The second part about it is that I'm not talking about the regular officers, that's the patrol officers, because I know that's an issue. People are, oh, patrol officers. Well, I'm talking about those officers like the narcotics task force, homicide, special task forces, who's riding around, who's looking for these individuals. See 5 and 6 kids deep in a car with a mask on. We know 5 kids from Kane University is not going to be riding down Rosa Parks Boulevard with a mask on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So when you take those mask courses and you get them the power, those tools to work with, they say, okay, maybe they're going to potentially, going to commit a crime or whatever. We get them the tools to try to prevent a crime in that aspect. And far as and for those going out there to commit the crimes without masks, it get them an opportunity to pretty much try to solve the crime, because now you could identify the perpetrator. We just last year we had a robbery, smash and grab right there in South Jersey. Never happened. They wouldn't mask. If you look all over social media, every kid, every town, every crime, majority of crimes are committed right now. It was just another video just I saw today on Facebook where the
Mm-hmm.
kids was riding a bike. Kids jumped out the car, masked up, and just start spitting on them, start shooting at
Yeah.
them. So if someone, I can't. People want to argue about the policy, and to speak frank, sometimes I think they're arguing against Teddy Martinez and not the reality of, what I'm saying, what's really happening. Like,
Yeah.
I want to get away from that, because at the end of the day, we need to really take these masks off these kids,
Right.
because, but one is dangerous. I posted last week a video of a kid that had to be like 11 years old, 12 years old, masked up, gloves on, and a fake gun. So if someone, so and with even with the policy, we're not talking about religious purposes. We're not talking about medical purposes, and we're not talking about law enforcement or special operations. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about individuals, you know what I'm saying, who's out here committing robberies, committing
Right.
murders, committing crimes that listen, it's no need for a group of 14 kids walking down Rosa Park or anywhere Broadway masked up in July and August.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't. I mean, I really don't understand. Like, I understand the pushback, and I understand how people cannot understand, because it's almost like you have to really be involved in this to really, really see it for what it is.
Right.
And a lot of times, Kamisha, I'm gonna end it on this note. People don't understand, like, until it really doesn't resonate until it hit home.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? People don't get it until it really hits home. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I'm trying. So for me, it hit home every time I see one of them young men lay in a casket.
Yes. And it should. I think for all of us, these are our sons, these are our daughters, because the bullet has no gender preference, it has no age preference. a bullet is going to hit whomever it catches. And so we should all take this very personal and to heart, because your son to yesterday, today, my son tomorrow. And I think one of the community members, Crystal Rudolph, said we have to try something. And so, I'm one, I'm all for freedom of expression with our youth and them being able to express themselves and the way that they dress and all of these things. But not only is it to protect us from possible crime, but also we don't want our youth to be stereotyped. That
Exactly.
if they're wearing a mask and it's just for fashion, they're being targeted maybe by law enforcement, or identified
Misidentified.
because of the mask. And so this is not about trying to mute their freedom of expression, but it's for the safety of
It's the
all.
food
And so,
safety
like
thing.
Crystal said, we have to try something. And I would say to the community, because Teddy, he is trying to push this, and he is asking for the community to show up and really speak to our public officials, our council people, about writing this legislation into law, because this is not about silencing our youth, but it's about protecting them and protecting the community. I want to pose this question to all three of you, and you guys can chime in. We're all here as adults, and I don't have anyone muted. People say this is not a council meeting, right? So we want to give each other a chance to talk and everything. But one of the things that we see with a lot of candidates, they're talking about public safety, right? And a lot of them say, "Oh, I'm gonna run on public safety, recreation. I'm gonna put money into recreation." And a lot of the times when people get into these offices, we still don't see that happening. Right. But I would love for you, especially you, Justice, because you've been working with Jamie Bland for years, and she speaks directly to that. How important is it for the ones that are running, but even the ones that are already in the seat, for them to really invest in public safety and the recreation for our youth? How important is that to us getting to trim some of this crime that we're seeing happening in our community?
And then I'm so glad you asked me that, because I talk about that all the time. I just posted a video earlier today addressing that very same thing, because I know we're in election season and the election cycle. All right. And I can't stress enough our current elected officials that are sitting in office, not even the ones that are running, looking to acquire office, because it's a playbook. It's a handbook on what to say when you're running for office. And all of them are reading from the same handbook. They all posting the same, campaign slogans. We've heard it time and time again: tough on crime,
Right.
public safety, all this other stuff. But it's just a slogan on a campaign flyer. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
if there's no real action behind it, no real legislation being pushed, then it's all for nothing. We have to hold these elected officials accountable. Listen, right now, I believe that some of our communities, or a lot of our communities, are in a state of emergency.
Yes.
It's a state of emergency. The gun violence and the killing is out of control, to the point where it's a state of emergency. I can't understand why our elected officials, specifically the African-American ones that are currently holding office, because it's disproportionately affecting our children, why they haven't called news conference on the steps of City Hall, contact all of the news stations, and declare this a state of emergency, and demand state intervention and federal intervention, because this is getting critical right now. It's critical. We're talking about 7-month-old babies are being shot. We're talking about 2-year-old kids are being shot. These children haven't even started walking yet. They haven't even started talking. They haven't even developed, and they're already victims of gun violence. This is sickening and it's scary, and we have to hold these politicians accountable. So in light of it being election season, all of these people, because so many people come out, you have 16 candidates running for council. 16 people want to run for council. This is ridiculous. But it just speaks to the dysfunction of our political process. And it just seems like nobody's putting the emphasis that should be put on the shooting and the killing of our youth. It's just like, people are using it for political stature, to get on the news, and I don't want to, pinpoint nobody and say nothing,
Right.
but certain council people, they'll get on the news and say, oh, this and that, and we installing cameras and all that. That's not enough, man. This is a
Right.
state of emergency. We need intervention. And let me tell you something. One of the biggest things, and particularly in Passaic County, I think that has set us back in public safety is when the Paterson Police Department and the Sheriff's Department, when they dismantled the Sheriff Department street team. When they had the Sheriff Department street teams back in the 80s and 90s, it was a big difference in the communities. Now, one of the reasons why they may have got dismantled because there was a lot of friction between Paterson Police and the Sheriff Department. They wasn't seeing eye to eye on policies, and a lot of suspects were being, beaten, and and then the city police was saying it was the Sheriff Department. They was doing it to them when they got to the county. The county was saying no. The officers was bringing them in there. They was already injured, and there was a lot of back and forth. But there was a disconnect. But when you had those sheriff patrols on the street, along with the Paterson Police, along with the Warrant Squad, along with the Narcotics Squad, and all these other squads, then they was able to have more of an impact on the community. You see what I'm saying? But now it's so stringent with the lack of police that's out there, the lack of police presence. They're only being reactive right now. They're not doing any intervention. They only reacting to the bodies once the bodies get dropped.
Right.
But there's no fear of police presence before the crime is committed.
And I think
so we got to focus more on intervention.
Yeah, and one of the things you mentioned was declaring a state of emergency, because we understand, and I think that's something, when they say state of emergency, that's automatic funding going into it, right? But if we're not making this that level of emergency, this is why we fight so much for the funding to be poured into our communities, for recreation, for the interventions. Like Teddy and myself, we both have worked with in violence intervention. I currently work with a nonprofit that has received one of the CBVI grants from the Attorney General's office. Teddy has done that work as well and continues to do the work unfunded through Project Reconnect. And so we understand that money, the investment, we're not just talking about time. Yeah. The money is what's really going to help us. And so when we hear these elected officials saying public safety and I'm going to pour into recreation, how? What are you going to do? Are you going to be at the forefront where we're saying this needs to be a state of emergency, or are we just saying this because we want it to just to happen, just to be able to be elected? Also, Justice, I want to speak to what you were saying about the Sheriff's Department, Police Department, Warrant Squad, and all that, because some people will say that that's a lot of policing. Right? A lot of our community are like, we don't want all this police. However, from your perspective and you being in the trenches of this work, what you're saying is almost, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I wanted you to give the community clarity, is that the lack of police presence, the lack of this component is also speaking to why we see a decline in, with the violence. Can you speak to that? Because a lot of people were saying no to police, but you're saying a lot of this was dismantled and some of it's needed.
Being a person that was formerly on the street, and one of the things that, you look for when you're going to commit these acts is opportunity. And the opportunity is in between the time when police are present and they're not present. You see what I'm saying? This is an open window. This is an opportunity. And a lot of those hours, these kids are nowadays, they don't even have a chosen hour to shoot. They shooting in the morning, they shooting in the afternoon, they shooting, but there are pockets of time when when the street guys know that there's zero police presence out there. And this is when most of the crimes take place. This is when a lot of the shootings take place, because there's the window of opportunity when there's no police presence. Now, I know back in the 90s when we was out there and we was on the streets and we was hustling and hanging out and having weapons on us, we was constantly in fear of those sheriff officers and those warrant squads coming through and catching you with the drugs and guns on you. So we had it off us more than we had it on us. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Because we were so much in fear because they would jump out of
Mm-hmm.
nowhere, come out of the bushes from behind abandoned buildings
Mhm.
and just snatch you and catch you. You know what I'm saying? But now that fear
Mhm.
isn't there. It doesn't exist anymore. These
Right.
guys are walking around with military grade weapons on them early in the morning,
Hey, Just let me jump
early
in
in
there
the
real quick.
daytime, in the afternoon.
Hey,
Yeah.
just let me jump in real quick, Kamisha, because it's important to note that too. When we speak about policing, like we don't want to, we can't police. We know everybody know we can't just police ourselves out of this
No.
situation.
No.
However, when you look at the decrease in crime over the last 3 years in Paterson, because the Attorney General came in and allocated almost $10 million to the police, and they was able to be more present in the community, the shootings, not crime. So let's be clear, shootings and murders
Shooting.
have decreased because of
Mm-hmm.
the more police present. I remember last summer they shut Rosa Park down for about 3 weeks. Those kids was not able to come out of Rosa Park Boulevard. They shut Belmont with no guns. So what they saying is that we're not coming out here because the police is out there in armored vehicles. My concern is, what I'm saying, what happens once the attorney general, once they turn it back over? Do we keep that funding? Or,
Right.
what I'm saying, like, so that's my concern. Like, what happens after that? Are we going
Yeah.
to keep up the same energy that we have now? Because if the shootings have decreased, and it's because the police present. If you notice that they're out there now at night before they once it hit dusk, you notice that they turn their lights on. So there's a lot of things that they're
Yeah.
doing, what I'm saying, to try to combat the violence in the community, and also with rewards and things of that nature that has been increased and implemented. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I mean, we can't police. We know we can't
No.
police our way out of this.
Exactly.
We
Okay.
know this. Yeah.
Right. And then thank you both, Prince and Justice and Teddy, for chiming in on that. I want to welcome, we have also that has joined the unmuted stage. My brothers, and again in violence intervention, I have Mr. Quan Hargrove. Mr. Hargrove, you're muted. I tried to unmute you. You have to unmute yourself. And I also have Mr. Rashawn Dixon, who also have joined the call, joined the stage. They both work for Paterson Healing Collective, within the great city of Paterson, doing great work there. And they can definitely speak to what we're seeing. They are boots on the ground. They are responding to these shootings. I want to commend them both, because when I asked them to come, just for to give context, these two respond to what happened over the weekend. And I know emotionally this could be very taxing on them, not only to see this and have to respond to it within the emergency room and all of that, and dealing with the families who are affected by it, but for them to take the time out and come out today. So I want to thank you both for being here. But Rashawn, I had everyone introduce themselves, and I know most of the community knows you, but I would like you to just again introduce yourself and speak to the work you've been doing, beyond Paterson Hill and Collective, because you've been doing this work before Paterson Hill and Collective. But just to give the community some insight on who you are and what you bring to the community in regards to trying to help us alleviate this crime and the things that are happening within our community, and specifically within our youth. Go ahead, Mr. Rashawn. Go ahead.
Greetings, everyone. How y'all doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, talk up a little bit or turn your volume up, because
Can you hear me now?
yeah, that's good. Go ahead.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Greetings, everyone on the panel. First and foremost, how everyone doing? Uh, Under the circumstances, uh, thanks for the introduction. Rashad Dixon, born and raised Paterson, New Jersey. Uh, I have been on the street doing some things in my upcoming earlier years. It wasn't until I landed in prison and did a long stretch that caused me and forced me to find out who I am and what was
Mm-hmm.
my purpose and what I wanted to do in life. So, being in prison, taking up programs like, behavior modification, anger management. And I found out, what made me tick and what made me do the things that I did, uh, in prison. Now I'm thinking clear and I have a clear mind and I'm not using any type of drugs while I'm in prison, working on myself. So when I come home, the first thing I said, I got to give back to my community that I rightfully took years ago, selling drugs and, messing up my community. So the first thing I wanted to do was I wanted to give back in a way where I can be effective, and that was to, try to help younger men and women not go down the road that I went down.
Mm-hmm.
So, that took off, and then I started my own program called Street Keepers, and the Street Keepers was designed to, being my brothers and sisters in the street, being a keeper. You know, uh, it was designed to go right to the hot spot, uh, catch them in their element, catch them right where they are, and try to talk to them. And just try to change their thinking and show them an example of who I am. And I'm not just trying to sell y'all this. I'm showing you this is what it is, and this is how you live, and you can make it this far if
Mm-hmm.
if you change your lifestyle, change your thinking, you change your attitude. I we kept moving. The morale was up, and the city was behind us, the street keepers, and then we formed this other group called the Men Stand Up. It was men in the community that stood up against violence, that stood up for doing what was right.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just the street keepers. It was formed around a whole bunch of different organizations, just men in the community, because just like this right here just happened, the women and the children, they'll feel safe if they know it's a lot of men and brothers out there
Yes.
that's advocating for the community. That's what they
Mm-hmm.
want to see. That was one of the main things that I said. I need to be seen. I need to be vocal. I need to show the community and prove to them that, you have some real brothers that's really conscious, and brothers that's
Mm-hmm.
really stable and not doing no backdoor stuff, saying one thing and doing something totally different. No, I wanted to be genuine. I wanted to be sincere in what I was doing, and it came from the heart, and I was passionate about it, you know. And this is the call where, when the community make that call, when sisters like yourself, when the older women, Miss Jane, Miss Williams,
Mm-hmm.
and the kids crying and they shooting young folk, it's time for brothers to step up. I had no choice. And when I came out of prison, I came out flying. I had my boots on the ground, and I got around some brothers. It was, and I just seen how it was going down, organizations, and I said, this feel good to me, and it feel
Yeah.
right to me, and I've been running ever since.
And that's how I met you, Rashawn, because I remember, even though it was the Men Stand Up and the Street Keepers, and you guys used to go out to the community, it was a few of us women, we would come and just,
Yeah,
offer support, just to be
yeah,
there, to offer that camaraderie. And that's
yeah.
how I met you,
Mhm.
and seeing you doing this work. And I thank you for being here today, but just thank you for the work, to all of you, for the work that you're doing. Mr. Hargrove, I want you to come in if you're there. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, sis.
Okay, and I want you to speak to the work that you're doing, and then I want to get into, because I have another question. We got a lot of the community on today. Um, we want to talk solutions. We want to talk to the community about even what they can do to help. And Rashawn, you spoke to that too as well. And Roshan, you can speak to this because we have a women and children's march protected by dads coming up in May 2nd, I believe, right?
Right,
And
right.
one of the things you said, which is really one of the cornerstones of that march, was that women feel protected when men are out. They're out in the street, out in the forefront. And this was one of the reasons why um, Roshan created this march, was to protect our women and children. And to, even on here today, to see you men here that are standing up for our community and doing the work, I want you to know, if nobody's telling you, that I appreciate you. And I feel safer in knowing, not just for myself, but even for the young men we're trying to help, that it's you guys doing the work. Mr. Hargrove, introduce yourself and just let the people know, let the community know who you are and what you've been doing within the community. And then we're gonna keep going with the questions. Go ahead.
Um, Thanks for having me, sis. Peace, everybody. Just Ted, Roshan, good to see you, brothers, man. Peace and love to y'all. I'm Quan Hargrove. I've been working in Paterson for 20 years. I think this year's 21 years. Just working with youth. Um, from the alternative high school, Great Falls Academy, which is now the Al Moody Academy. to, various grassroots organizations such as the Village, Men Stand Up, as Rob mentioned, um, Street Keepers, worked at the Evening Reporting Program, Paterson Youth Services Bureau for many years. And that's how I kind of formed a lot of relationships with a lot of residents in the community and their kids. Um, I currently am an MDT coordinator, case expediter for Passaic County Juvenile Court. That's my day job, and in the evening, I work with the Paterson Healing Collective as a safety plan coordinator. So wore a few different hats throughout the years, but the main one is just concerned community person, right? Due to these relationships, that I have and have built with a lot of these families, a lot of them start to become my family, right? Because I spend more time with them than I do with my own family, literally, right? So, working with kids is not like a thing where they're participants of mine or they're just clients and kids that I work with. A lot of these folks become my family, right?
Mhm.
So, you know, I like to take it a step further than just being concerned and being a community member. Like, these are my family,
Right.
out here, lost and being lost to the system or to the grave. So, in short, that's who I am. Just somebody that's concerned about,
Yeah.
you know, pushing peace out here and, resolving and trying to fix the problem.
Yeah, and I mean that's also how we met as well in the evening reporting. I remember you being a director of youth services and me coming to do life skills,
Yeah.
and just seeing you guys work. So community, we have 30 plus years of community work, and this is just a small number of many people within our community who's doing this work. So
Correct.
I want to pose this question to you guys because all of you work on the front lines, whether it's reentry, violence intervention, community outreach. All of you are on the front lines, and you see how this violence is affecting our youth, affecting our communities and our families. And when we see something like what we saw the other day with the young men being shot, and not just the young men that were being shot, but even our young men who are the ones that are doing the shooting, right? Because this is of effect for all of them, right? We got 4 sons, but also the sons that are doing the shooting. They're all our sons. What as at, from what your professional standpoint and just you being a son of the city, what is the immediate work that needs to happen on the ground? One, we want to prevent retaliation, right? And we want to keep our kids safe. What is the work that needs to be done immediately to try to prevent that, retaliation, but also to make sure that our families and our communities are feeling safe? What are you guys? What are you? Does it look like from your side? And what can you say to the community that we can do, but also speak to these candidates and our elected officials? What should they be doing? Any one of you can chime in.
I'll jump in because
Go ahead.
it also take me back to the last question that you asked. As far as legislation and the people that's running, what can they do? Now, me being a part of public safety,
Mm-hmm.
what was being spoken for years and years and years and years, which was opposed to me about um, the residency policy for public safety. Right? You got police, you got fire, you got DPW. That's your three main components of the city. To help the city run. Right? Meaning out in the general public. Um, I remember back in the day, you had your Smoot brothers, you had your Mr. White, you had your Pierce, you had all of these different people that was out in the community, and we respected when we saw them. You know, we when we saw them, we was almost, afraid to not even want to deal with any nonsense. Sometimes they would snatch you up and take you to your parents, but now when you're talking about, you having a police force, you have a fire department or whatever, where the majority of the people are not from your community. You got to ask, and like Teddy said, the police department do what they do, the fire department do what they do. Kudos to the job that they do with the resources that they have. But I would like to see more of our community police in our community, not just on the side of, us as civilians, because it's not just the thing of being a professional policeman or fireman. It's an economic empowerment thing as well. You can have a good career as a policeman and fireman and be homeowners and be this and be that. And, you make good money, but also, it's a difference between when, because I respond to these things, I respond with police officers, and the difference when those people look like you. Yeah. I mean, they have empathy, a different type of sympathy. I've been on scene where people treated the residents like trash, whereas I had to actually say something to somebody like, hey, knock it off. I'm 18, 19 years in, so I feel like, me having boots on the ground that long, I can pull that guy to the side like, hey, that's not how we talk to these people. That's not how you act like this. Having a different type of care. Yeah. So I believe when we can if the council can come up with some type of legislation to help the residency policy, to employ more policemen and firemen from this city that may be able to respond different, may speak different to the residents. Because, I had an officer who didn't know who I was, and, talked to me until he found out who I was. Then it was like, oh, okay. Yeah. My bad. Well, no, you should give everybody respect, not just because of who I am and what I do. I mean, so just in conclusion, like I said, there's a residency policy that's on the books. I think that can be, it can be some help in that area where we can employ more people that's from here. That some people, more people that empathize with our our civilian people and respect wise, and the way that you talk to people, and the way that you may even respond. Yeah. You may want to be in certain areas or know the areas more than they may not be from here. Yeah. Where are you supposed to be looking? Where are you supposed to be patrolling? I mean, do you even care to do that? Right. You know what I mean? Like all of those different things. So I think they should look into a residency policy, because not only, like I said, not only would that probably help with community interaction and how one may respond, but it also helps in an economic empowerment, from an economic empowerment point. Because I'll tell you one thing, if you show me violence, it's going to be attached to poverty. Yeah, it's attached to poverty. Definitely. I mean, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be attached to poverty. Not saying that things don't happen anywhere else, right, but it's going to be attached to poverty. So if you employing, more of our people in police and fire, and not just DPW, because DPW and Rashawn, you probably can answer this. DPW is probably what, 70, 80, 90, like 90% Patersonians. Yeah. But police and fire, where you're making $150,000-$200,000 a year. Wow, big difference. That speaks volumes. People talk about and you're like, oh, don't throw the race card, but economic racism is a real thing as well. And when we see our communities not being given these opportunities to thrive economically, we have to look at the whys. And DPW is a great job, but we're looking at our communities thriving in all areas. And why is it just DPW? Why aren't they allowed to get into these jobs that pay them more, give them more opportunity and more exposure to more things? Poverty is definitely connected to the violence that we're seeing.
For
Kamisha, let me
go
jump
ahead.
in real quick. Okay, so Sean, you said a mouthful, right? And
Yes, he
and and,
did.
and what you said, it was great, right, bro? Because I want to take it back to one. I wanted to take it back to one is that what you said about the police being able to be culturally competent, or fire being able to culturally competent. Kamisha and I spoke about that and spoke to the police chief about even training the officers about being
Hmm.
culturally competent on how to, like you said, like you stated. And so I'm glad you brought that up because I have a meeting with him tomorrow, and I'm going to bring that back up tomorrow because it's important for them to be able to be culturally competent and treat our people the right way. And because what happens is this is the flip side of it, right? What we show our juveniles and our people on social media is not is one of the reasons why I think that some of the violence and some of the, because they have to respect us first in order to respect themselves. If they see us the way they see the city council running and the way they see us to going back, and I'm including me as well to
Hmm.
react to some of the things on Facebook and to respond. They why would they respect us? Why would they listen? But are they really hearing us?
Right.
No. So when you go back to like when first of all, what's up, Quan and Sean? What's up? I mean Rashawn. So I used to work when I was working. I was the first Ace VIP coordinator in it, and it was a challenge. You know what I'm saying? Because responding to them kids in that hospital bed, you see a different kid.
Yes.
It's not that person out there. Even the shooters is different than when you
Yes.
when you're responding to the what's name. And then you have to deal with the families. So it's definitely time. But collectively, as a group of men, and again, we all have to just drop our egos at the door and come together and understand that there's certain lanes, certain people are just good at.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like Sean and them, like, when you guys come to those quarter zips, we step those quarter zips with those group of men, it should be filled with a room of men.
Hmm.
It should be filled with a room of men because a lot of those kids are up the hill, down the hill, trainees, they coming. It's 30 deep young men from all over. And they're not getting paid. They there because of why? Because they believe in the power of one. They go to church. We got about 10 of them that got baptized, which is weird, what I'm saying, for even them, because someone want to get baptized with mask on, it was crazy, what I'm saying? So
I
so
mean
I'm
that
saying,
and we got to research the connection to the mask because I get I hear everything you're saying in regards and because some people are against it and some people aren't, but
yeah,
even just that safety net for them, why do they feel better with the mask on and and beyond trying to hide their identity, but what
yeah,
else are they trying to hide? Why don't they want to present
trauma,
their whole self to the community? So it's so many components.
yeah,
You
Can you
spoke
chime
to
in?
all the different groups and I want us to stay here with what's the immediate response, right? But I wanted to pin this comment because you spoke to the different groups and a lot of people are saying, and even in the comments, like, we have all of you guys here from different organizations, different groups, and people want to see more collaboration.
more collaboration. It's hard,
I
but like
mean, the truth of the matter is, like I think one of you said, we all have our strengths.
right.
Um, and I think I said this at one of the council meetings. Nobody should look to be a hero, right? Nobody should look to get this accolade of I saved the day. The work is us really coming together to do the work for our community and all of us bringing what we have will make the community whole. And I know we're better together. And I wanted to pin this comment that Ms. Harrison wrote about Ceasefire March because, not just about the march that Ceasefire did. And she was saying that none of us were there because I know I didn't attend this one, right? But people want to see more collaboration. Again, I want to go back to my question. What's the immediate response to prevent the retaliation and to prevent this from happening again so our communities feel safe? What is our immediate response right now? What are you doing? Go ahead, Rashawn.
Can I
Can I
chime in
say?
real quick? Hold on,
Sure.
Rashawn.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Rashawn yeah. No, I think that first and foremost, it has to be a collaborative effort between community, law enforcement, and clergy. You have to include the churches
Mm-hmm.
and they have to get involved in the process because if you understand the dynamics of the Black community and the Latino community, The
Mhm.
churches are a cornerstone of our community. All right. And a lot of people are attached to their religious institutions.
Mhm.
So you have to get the clergy involved, law enforcement, and community. But the community has to get serious about this issue, and they have to be serious about making change. And the problem within our communities is, unfortunately, a lot of people are, if not condoning, they are enabling a lot of this stuff that's going on. They are enabling these shooters. A lot of these parents are, a lot of the girlfriends and the friends and the sisters and the siblings. A lot of people in these communities, believe it or not, are encouraging some of this violence. See, we have to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's not trying to see a solution. A lot of people are encouraging and then pushing this stuff and not doing enough to hold these shooters accountable. And
Mhm.
then not only that, we have to change our mentality about law enforcement and this no snitching, no telling, no talking, letting little kids and babies getting shot and the whole community being hush hush about it. Nobody want to talk about it. Nobody want to point out who did it. This is what's destroying us. This is what, see, you
Mhm.
can't you can't be in bed with the problem and then talk about you looking for a solution.
Mm.
It don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? It's hypocrisy. If we really want change, we have to be ready to put the real work in to get that change. And if that
Mhm.
change includes, what I'm saying, law enforcement coming in doing what they got to do, and if your child is out there with a gun on them or out there being a part of the problem and shooting people and murdering people, if your son get caught up in that process, then oh well, so be it. You know what I'm saying? You
Mhm.
have to see the problem is when people call in bringing solutions, when they say, oh, the National Guard gonna come in or the state police gonna come in, then you got people going on social media talking about, oh, we don't want these police in our community, we don't want the National Guard out here,
Mhm.
they're gonna be killing our kids. Oh well, if your son out there killing other people's kids, if your son happened to get killed by officers in the course of them doing their job in order to make our community safer, then oh well. You know what I'm saying? But we got to get serious about it. See, you can't protect your children when they're out here committing these crimes and doing these shootings. And then when it's time for them to pay the piper, then you want to fall out and cry and kick and scream and holler police brutality. But if your son is out there with a gun on him and he's a part of committing these crimes, then if he's subjected to whatever law enforcement got for him, then that's what it is.
I mean, I think, wow, Justice, I think for a lot of us in the community, that's a hard pill to swallow. But my mom was a pastor, the late pastor Ruth Jean Thomas. And when my mom used to preach and the word was hitting home, she would say, it might be tight, but it's right. And so I think some of this, it might be a hard pill for us to swallow, but some of this we as a community, we have to take accountability for. Roshan, I mean not Roshan, Rashawn
Russia,
and Hargrove,
Russia.
did you want to speak to the immediate response from the
Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead,
community?
bro.
And go
yeah.
ahead, go ahead.
And individually, right?
Mm-hmm.
That to your question, uh, it's sad to say, but we can't be everywhere when something is about to happen.
No.
Like we can all be in our communities. We can all be a part of what we are part of, right? When a young individual, be it male or female, when they're
Mm-hmm.
about to do something, they're going to plot and they're going to wait and they're going to do it, right? No matter all the work that we put in, all the boots
Right.
on the ground, all the 10 toes that's down, um, they're going to find a way to do it with the mask. And if it's a mask ordinance in place, they're going to wait until it's time for them to do what they got to do, pull the mask down, do what they do, take the mask off, and keep it moving. Um,
Mm-hmm.
my thing is to stop retaliation. Individually, I do my part, right? When I'm in contact with family, friends, or just guys, when I go through the block, my thing is, once I know something that happened, um, I'm trying to get in touch with, if I hear anything on the street, trying to get in touch with whoever it may concern to try to stop the retaliation. It starts in the hospital when you see someone get shot. The first thing you want to do is try to help them, calm themselves down so they
Mm-hmm.
won't have that retaliation mindset at that point. But you know, my thing is this: there's and I want to say this, and I'm saying this in respect to. whatever I'm speaking about right now. Um, there's a lot of things that separates us, right? And
Yeah.
you have religion, you have culture, you have fraternity, sorority. There's a lot of things that have us going in different directions. It's like just like on the block, if you ain't a part of my posse, my crew,
Mm-hmm.
then we don't mess with you. If you ain't my such and such brother, then we don't mess with you. If you ain't this, then the third. And these are some of the things that's in a small way that stops us from forming Voltron and coming together wholeheartedly. Because some people take serious with just and don't quote me on it. Some people say if you're a Christian, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
some of the brothers may say, if that's not my Christian brother, then he just gonna have to wait. I'm not gonna be there for him. If that's not my
Right.
Muslim brother, if that's not my Muslim brother, then I'm not going. He gonna have to wait, or she got to wait. I'm not there for him.
Mm-hmm.
They looking out for themselves first. So these are just some of the things that just have us from coming together. But when it comes to them young folk, right? I take it real serious. And the last thing that I want to do is put women and children in harm's way. That job right there is wholeheartedly for men like us. And it should be a whole bunch of brothers that's kicking the doors down out there in the streets when something like this
Mm-hmm.
happened. But as all of us on this panel know, everybody ain't coming outside. They don't care. The problem is not theirs until it hit their doorstep. And then when they hit their doorstep, they know who to call. They get in touch with people like us, because they know we're
Yeah.
doing the work. But it should be a whole bunch of brothers that's out there that have the mindset that we have. But I don't know what's stopping them from wanting to help and wanting to
Yeah.
get involved. But I think it's a thing to a point where um, they got some issues that's stopping them from, because when you're doing this work, people watching you. And they
Yeah.
watching you, they waiting for you to make that mistake. They're like, yo, ain't that's that dude that be
Yeah.
talking that, this, that, and
You're
the
right.
third, and they trying to catch you slipping. You have to really do this work, and you have to do it sincerely, and you have to want to do this work. And once the young folk out there, whether they're a shooter, whether they whoever, if they see you moving in the right way, you can get their attention for a moment, and you can talk to them. But it's just some things in the streets right now and their mindset. And I'm gonna say this in closing: the respect level it has been gone. It's out the window with a lot of
Mm-hmm.
our young folk. The respect level and the physical hand to hand and meet each other and talk to each other, that's out the window as well. A lot of their conversations and a lot of their things, their interaction come through social media. It don't
Yeah.
come through I see them, I see you, I see so that respect level is gone, and it's hard to reach a young person when they don't have respect for themselves or whoever that's close to them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Community. I mean, it's so much to take in here. One of the things I wanted to ask, what is it? Because we're talking about the respect level. Someone put on the post on the comments about the families, about the parents getting more involved and things like that. But I want to speak to what is it that politicians are saying recreation center, oh, I'm gonna get a recreation center in this Paterson. I'm gonna do a gym or more youth jobs and all of these things that we hear all of these promises that really never come to fruition. And we see our youth, like you said, they're in their group, they're with what they consider their family. What is it that the street is providing them that we aren't giving them? Somebody said the parents need to hear what the kids are going through. What is it that the streets are giving them that the communities and the families aren't giving them? How do we break that cycle, that to give them what they need? What is it that they're getting that we can't seem to give them or won't give them?
So to me, Kamisha, so Justin and I spoke about this earlier, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's a couple of things. One, you know, I want to go back to what Rashawn was talking about. Uh, is that one of the things that we do is that a lot of individuals we meet the kids, but we're not meeting them where they at.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so I don't think these kids are hard to reach. I think we just not reaching them where they at because some like a lot of like as Rashawn stated, a lot of these individuals they scared of these kids out here in the community, so that's why they're not coming out. They scared
Mm-hmm.
of them because these kids are tough. However, we can't keep blaming the parents because sometimes good parents have bad kids and bad parents have excellent kids. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? I got me and Barbara have nine between us, and we got some cuckoos in our family. And she put every last one of her kids in private school. But we got a doctor. That's we got a doctor, we have a college football coach, we have a nurse. You know what I'm saying? So it's collectively, and they all was under the same umbrella as far as the teachings and what do you need, and But we have one that's just this streamlined back to Paterson. Like it's so what are they giving them? I don't culturally, it's a different type of culture. You know what I'm saying? Than what we were raised up on, what we came upon. So like what we're giving them, like you gotta look at the social media platform that these kids going in. You have to look at, that like if you go out on Rosa Park or even Carroll Street on a Friday night, the first some 80, 90 degrees outside, you see 100 kids out there.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So that question, that to me, that's like $1 million question. But what we are doing is this. So you know that we are since 2020, was it 23, we've created several businesses to try to give them summer jobs. We created the BNT Bounce House, BNT East and Suites, and then we got the game truck rolling up, and then we have another business that's gonna pop up too during the wintertime. And we employ at least 20 to 30 kids throughout the summertime for the job. We also have Project Reconnect, where we take the funds from our entrepreneurship journeys. And as you stated earlier, we don't get funding. So what we use our funding, which to that, and Barbara's really strict on, like, she's not, we went through an experience where all money's not good money. So we
Right.
learned that. So what we're doing is we're creating our own businesses, and what we're doing is that trying to, and so we also created TAPS, tenant assistant program services. So all that goes hand in hand. And what are you doing? So what are you doing is that this is what we're missing, right? The mark we're missing. A lot of those kids that's happening when you go to their house on, and Quan and Rashawn, they know when you go to their house, they're sleeping on mattresses, they sleeping on couches, they what I'm saying, so it's like we have to actually go, we have to address the families, not the kid. We dealing with the kids in the street, but when you go home, we could take these kids, we could
Yeah.
take these kids and we put them in a building. We could pay them $200 a week, and we could do all that. But when you send a kid, it's programs when kids were homeless working for a program. How?
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We can't do that. We have to take these kids and embrace their entire family. It has to be a holistic approach. Because if we got a kid that's coming out and out to us every day helping us, that's his getaway. When
Yeah.
he go back home, he got to deal with what's at
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
So what happened is, one of the things that we need, a lot of this, that we need to be more, people need to be more trauma informed
Yeah.
about how to deal with these kids in this culture. Two, no, all these kids are not bad kids. Some of these kids are in survival mode. So some of the kids that you seeing out here, and Quan know better, because he's seen some good kids turn bad because they had to turn bad. And now they dealing with the Trinities, you know what I'm saying, who's a whole nother set, you know what I'm saying, who move different than what our kids move. So now it's like they have the beef. Now you have the Spanish kids who created a whole nother set that Spanish against Trinities, against bullies. So it's a lot of, so the community is misinformed. And,
Yeah.
so what we have to do collectively, we have to continue these conversations and see where we could be at. Because
Yeah.
he's right, everybody can't be
No.
everywhere. However, if we strategically sit down and do asset mapping and things of that nature, we know where the resources at. If we
Yeah.
allow people like Quan, like when I was working for the Paterson Hill Collective, I made sure that Quan, I can't talk to this kid. You need to talk to him. I moved myself out the way.
Mhm.
You can't because we can't reach
We can't
everybody.
all be heroes.
In
No.
215, we did this without no money. We did in 215, we did a ceasefire without no money. What did it last for 6 months, guys?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm saying it can be done, but we
Mhm.
have to collectively come together and do it. We have to get the egos out the room, not egos, ego, out the room, and come together and say, okay, let's have these real conversations. Because it's not about Teddy Martinez, it's not about Sean Dixon, Sean, Just, or anybody else. It's about if people are serious about these kids,
Yeah.
all that other stuff, it goes out the window. And as far as the politicians, I want to say, as far as the politicians,
Say it.
it's a soundbite. Like, come on,
Mhm.
y'all. Like, and it's offensive to me every time I was talking to a council person who, rest in peace, I'm telling the shooting. What we've been dealing with shootings since I've been home since 2008. We've been marching 1,000 people. So this
Mhm.
ain't a new occurrence in the city. So, but the only thing that we consistent out is beefing with each other. That's what we
Yeah.
consistent.
Yeah.
That's the only
Um,
thing we consistent with.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All of what you're saying is correct. I'm a social worker by trade, and done a plethora of things. Well, one of the main things we talk about wraparound services, because we have to, when we're working with the kids, we there's an approach we call PI. It's the person in the environment, right? And so when we look at PI, we look at all of the things that influences the behaviors of the person sitting in front of me. That's their community, that's their family, that's their school, that's their economic status, that's their education status, that's their health, that's all of those things that affects the community, the parent, all of those things. So yeah, like you said, you got kids coming out to different programs that go home, not a couch, not a mattress on the floor, they sleeping on the floor. They not eating right. And I don't know about you, but I know when I'm hungry, I get angry. You got kids out here who are hungry, and this is part of why they're presenting the way they're presenting. Their moms doesn't have money to pay rent or buy them get clean clothes. This is why they're presenting the way they're presenting. So yes, we're looking at some parents, we say parents, but we can't always blame it just on the parents. We're looking at economic racism, we're looking at educational racism, we're looking at environmental racism, all of these things. When we look around Paterson and the continuous lack,
Social
like people
economics.
say sometimes, there's prosperity in trauma, there's prosperity in chaos. We are almost $1 billion city, but chaotic. It's money in this. And us as a community, we got to recognize this. There are people thriving off of our kids dying,
Yeah,
off of our community dying.
you're right.
Can I say something,
And
Kamisha,
so
real
all
quick?
of us, we all got to take a part in this. This is not a point the finger. It's on all of us.
Yes.
Go ahead, Justice.
No, I want to say, and I'm glad all of you guys are making very valid points.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad y'all touched on that, because it is a family dynamic involved in that. And that's the work we do at Jumpstart,
Mm-hmm.
with the kids at Jumpstart. We don't only deal with the kids, we deal with the entire family structure.
You have to.
We have to, because, and even from a nutritional standpoint, we have, the food pantry, and we have resources. So the kids come there and they get to eat, they can eat a breakfast, they get lunch, and we give food to the parents, to the family, because you don't know what goes on behind closed doors in people's homes. And like Roshan alluded to earlier, wherever you see high crime, you see high poverty. You know what I'm saying? So when you got these, like, for a lot of the kids at our program at Jumpstart, just for them to be able to get the program on a daily basis, sometimes they got to run an obstacle course of ducking the bullets, the gangbangers, the drugs, and all the other vices in the communities that they're faced with, just to get to the program on a daily basis, so they could get a good meal in their stomach, so they could get some educational, some academics, so they could get on the computer, so they could get in the workshop, just to get to the program. And unfortunately, one of the things that I do there is I talk to them also about how to protect themselves when they out socially, to keep from getting shot and killed. I have to teach these kids, when you hear gunshots, how to duck for cover.
Wow.
Get behind a garbage dumpster, get behind a car, don't stand straight up, don't try to outrun the bullet. You can't outrun a bullet. You know what I'm saying? I have to talk to them on how to carry themselves, because some of them may go out socially, go to a little party, go to a little function, or go hang out with their friends. And when the gunshots start ringing, a lot of these kids, their first instinct is to run standing straight up. This is how you catch straight bullets. So it's unfortunate that within this program dynamic, I have to talk to them because about this, but they need survival skills. They need to know how to survive and think critically in critical situations. You know what I'm saying? And it's a shame that, that has to be that way. But unfortunately, it's a reality that our kids live with, and we have to give them the tools that they need. But I just want to touch a little bit on the collaboration that you spoke upon earlier.
Yeah.
I think personally that some of our strongest, brightest diamonds from our community, unfortunately, aren't sitting at the table together. And I think that's one of the things that's stagnating us and holding us back as well, because we have some really strong individuals and entities in different organizations, but the collaboration ain't there. So we aren't getting the best of the best in these critical situations, you know, because everybody's off doing their own thing. Everybody's off creating their own space. You know what I'm saying? And that's fine. But at some point, you have to be able to come to the table together and work collectively in order to get some solutions, in order to get some things done. As long as we continue to keep working as individuals and individual organizations, we're going to be spread so thin. Now, you got so many different people in these kids' ear, they don't know who to listen to or what to listen to. You know, but if we attack them together, collectively, right, you know, then we can have a stronger impact. But if I got him over here putting this in his ear, then one day you got him over there putting that in, you know, it's kind of confusing them. They don't know who to believe or what to believe. And I just think that we need to make more of a concerted effort to collaborate, you know, together and bring some of our strongest entities to the table together. You know, like in a lot of other communities, you know, like in particularly the Jewish community, they police their own communities and they work together and they bring their strongest individuals together to get things done and be the voice for the community. You know, but we got so many different voices in so many different directions, it gets kind of confusing.
Yeah.
So, I want to say this, and then we need to get confident here. I mean, to you know, to address some things as well. I think that we need to care more besides when it lands on our lawn. I mean, it seems like, you know, it's not saying standoffish, but, you know, we in our own world. Even when something like this happened, that happened over, you know, the weekend, you know, we're in our own little spaces. You know, we're in our own little world. You know what I mean? And you can have all the marches in the world. You can have all of the conversations in the world. You can have all of the platforms like this in the world. But if we don't get everybody, like they were saying, as a collective to really pour into what's going on, to really, you know, be the community that we need a community to be, it ain't not really gonna happen. You know what I mean? We got to get back to the village. Right now, if your son or your daughter was out there doing something reckless, and I see her and respectfully, I see her or him and say, hey, you know, knock it off. You know, going out, whatever, blah, 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 you know, go home, whatever the case may be, you know what I mean, respectfully. That parent may come to me and want to cuss me out for pulling their kid to the side, telling them that they're doing something wrong. You know what I mean? So it's like the village is gone.
Yeah.
I mean, it always said that it takes a village. That the village is gone because you can't say nothing to nobody nowadays because, you know, I
get so offended.
Yeah, I see parents, you know, go to the schools and curse the teachers out. I mean, for respectfully chastising, you know, the child for doing what the child ain't supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
It never was like that. I mean, I respect everybody on this panel for who they are. I know each and every one of them. I mean, and, you know, from whether it's on social media or whether it's in person. I mean, now my daughter, I got one daughter that's still, you know, high school age. If she was acting out and one of them called me and said, hey, I saw your daughter, you know, I talked to her, this and the third, I'm going to appreciate that and thank you. Now, when she get home, I deal with it because I'm in my mindset. I'm going to say, I know Rashawn, I know her, I know Teddy. I mean, I know Jess, I know Kamisha. They ain't going to disrespect my daughter. They ain't going to, like I know these guys. I know what they're about. I mean, so first thing I'm going to say is what happened, how you addressed it, and then when she get home, I'm going to address her. I'm not going to say to them, yo, don't be talking to my daughter. I'm not going to do that. I mean, and we got to respect our neighbor enough to pull that child aside when they doing something wrong.
And trust them, because it's the trust too. We got to trust that I wouldn't harm your child. Listen, I work with a lot of youth in the community, whether it's through reentry, whether it's through mental health, whether it's through my church, whether it's through various ways. And I've been a teacher. I've been all of these different things. And when I see your kid out on the street and I know them and they're not doing, I say something to them. And I'll just have to deal with their parent. But I care about your kid. I don't want them in danger and I don't want them anything to happen to them. And so if I see them going down the wrong way or doing something that I know they're not supposed to be doing, Miss Kamisha, because that's what they call me, Miss Kamisha, is gonna say something. And
Look,
9 times out of 10, I know how to contact the parent, whether it's through social media or through their phone. And I'll say, I saw your child, and this is what happened. And let them know if I see them again, this is what's gonna happen again.
look, when the parents address people like that, that's trying to give corrective criticism to their children, and then you handle it that way, that validates to the child, I can do whatever I want to do because I already know what I got coming behind me.
And no
Now,
change in behavior.
yeah. So now, if they're way more willing to do it again because they know that they got that backup. I mean, I know that Papa or Mama Bear coming behind me. I do what I want to do.
Right.
Mind your business. I mean, instead of having that parental fear for the neighbor to say, I ain't gonna do that in front of them,
right,
because I know that they're gonna check that, and I'm probably gonna get my ass whooped when I get home too.
Right. Hargrove, I saw your hand up. Did you want to add something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to add to one of your questions about the responsibility of the politicians that's running for
Right.
office in the
To
upcoming
address
election
what's happening.
to address what's happening. If they're listening, they're out there,
They
you
listening.
know, if they listening, right? Make it your business to ensure that programs and representation that you have on this call are funded. Simple as that. You know, Jumpstart, Paterson Healing, um, all these different programs, Youth Services Bureau should never have to worry about my man Jordan Henry. If y'all don't know Jordan Henry, y'all better tap in with him.
Right. Yes.
Officer Jordan Henry and community policing, tap in with him. If you don't know Hargrove, if you don't know Ted, if you don't know Just, Ra, tap in with these folks, right? So to the politicians, these programs and these folks that have been pushing peace for years, made it a career, made it a lifestyle, they shouldn't have to worry about their programs losing funding. Why are we cutting funding from kids?
Yes.
The only thing they should be concerned about is how they're going to spend it. If we being real and you in this race, these people should know you. These programs should be familiar with you. You should be an advocate for these programs.
Yes.
These programs shouldn't be struggling. They shouldn't have to worry about if their doors are going to close. So one strategy and one thing that everybody could do is advocate for these people to receive the funding they deserve to service our community, our families, and our children, if you care. Right?
That was my third question too. Like, what would you say to them?
Yeah. So that's what I need to say. That's what I have to say. And I'm available anytime. If we can have a conversation, people know where to find me, right? The other thing is, what I'm doing personally in terms of like going back to your other question about what can we do, what can be immediate response, is touching the ground. Like being in front of the people who are in these wars.
Yeah.
Right. So between myself, my team, and I'm pretty sure like the guys that are visible on this call, we have relationships and ties to these communities, to the street in one way or another. It ain't time to be cool and shit. It ain't time to be, like, nah, I can't touch that or whatever the case may be, right? You got to reach out. Even if it's just a check-in. What's up, bro? I'm just checking in on you. Because they in a war.
Yeah,
Right? Right? So just a check-in, a pull-up. Yo, I'm gonna come scoop you. That may not be for everybody because they are in an active war and you gotta be careful, you gotta be safe, right? So I'm not, I'm not
Right. Use
suggesting,
your
but I'm
judgment.
saying like just
Yeah.
whatever it is, yo, meet me over here, or I'm gonna come scoop you, or let you FaceTime me. I just want to check in on you. You good? You need anything? Or those things go a long way, right?
Yeah.
And those things lead to conversations, right? Now you in front of this person that's in an active war, right? Yo, how can we fix this, bro? Or sis? Like what can we do? What can I do?
Mm-hmm.
Who do I need to talk to? Who do I need to get in front of? Right? And just that little piece of work, that little leg work, which is paramount, you could do a warm handoff to a Roshan, a Rashawn Dixon, a
Mm-hmm.
Just Figueroa, a Ted,
Yeah.
a whoever, a Hargrove, you know what I mean, a Jason Moody, all these
Yes.
these
Yes.
strong, capable men in our community. Maybe you could give a warm handoff, like, yo, I want to connect you to somebody to talk
Mm-hmm.
to, man. Maybe they can kind of help resolve some of this, whatever you experience. Maybe they could talk to the other side. Maybe they could talk to these people over there. Like we have to start exploiting these relationships that we have with some of our kids and some of our
Yes.
guys out here that's involved in the madness, man. Because I'm gonna tell you like this, it may seem like exciting and they want to live this life, but they don't.
No,
They
they
looking
do
for a
not.
way out. Trust and believe me, they looking for a way
Yes,
out,
they
man.
are.
They just waiting for somebody to come
To come and help them out.
and support them, right? Like, bro, if you could talk to them over there, I ain't on that, bro. Like, I ain't on none of that, man. Like, I know what happened, yeah. I know what happened in the past, but I ain't on none of that, man. I'm trying to raise my family. I'm trying to be here for my little brother and sister. I'm trying to be here for my mother.
Yep.
I'm trying to get a job.
This is so true, Mr. Hargrove. Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the
don't think
community come
don't
into
think
play.
you a backup, pardon me,
Yeah.
T, but don't think you a backup singer, none of that. We all got a part to play, like my brother said before me. We all got a part to play. Nobody's a backup singer in this thing here, right? We all got a part to play. We all could do something, man. And the way I approach the work is not the same way you would approach the work, but you're valuable and you
That's
have
why.
something to
Yep.
add, right? So don't think that you have to do it in the way that you see somebody else doing it. You could do your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
You
And
know what I
still be
mean?
effective.
And like we've been talking about since we got on the call is we can all collaborate at the end of the day, right? But that's just my 2 cents. What I'm doing, I'm look,
I know.
I'm in front of my kids all the time, right? I'm in the jail with them, before they get back to the street, right? I'm taking the bros, they big bros and people they look up to in the jail to talk to them like, y'all can't be fighting and trying to kill each other in the jail, my man.
Hmm.
You locked up
Mm-hmm.
together. You can't get locked up while you locked up. You get
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So, we trying. Like it's people out here that's really trying, that's in the fight, and we gonna keep swinging. But please, 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 with sprinkles on top. If you don't know how to fight, reach out to somebody that's on this call.
Yes.
Please, I implore you to do that and
Yes.
and jump in, even if it's just, my man Rod used to tell me all the time because I'm not much of a talker, right? He said, "Yo, I'll do all the talking, I just need you side by side with me. Just be at my shoulder with me." So if you don't know how to fight, just come stand with somebody that's in the fight. You know what I'm saying? Just be my backup. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Thank you.
That was great, Mr. Hargrove. Yeah, you wouldn't know you weren't much of a talker with everything you just said. That's just left me so full. And I think, one of the things when I do the community outreach from my church, right? And when we're doing outreach, I say to the church, all hands on deck. Right. So when they hear that, that's a call to action to the church. That means this is not a sign up sheet. Everybody got to work. I'm expecting everybody to be here. And I want to say that to our community. We need all hands on deck. Like Mr. Hargrove said, this is not, oh, you're not a backup singer. You're not. We need everybody. We need everybody's gift. We need everybody's influence. We need everything you got so that we can all come together collaboratively to help our children, to bring them out of this. Because, like he said, they want out. But where are the opportunities for them? Where are the resources? Where are those things that will help them thrive? Not just them, because a lot of them too, they're thinking about, like you said, their family, their little brother, their sister, their mom. They're trying to be everything for everyone, trying to pull their family out. Into what? Because we haven't really made the true investment into them. And so, has been a great start to the conversation. What I don't want to see is, one, the conversation end. We have to continue these collaborative conversations, but I also want to see us go from talking to the work. All right. Because the truth is, everything we need. My mom used to say this to my sister and I when she was encouraging us in becoming women and everything we had as, dreams to be. Everything we need for our community is already in all of us. All of us have something to give in order to see our community, our youth, our children, and families thriving. I want to end here, and I want to give everyone here an opportunity, whether it's to the elected officials or those who want to be elected, or to the community. Give us your last words of encouragement and your charge to the community on what they should be doing and how they can get involved. Give us your last remarks, and we'll go from there. So whoever wants to go in, you want me to call you or you want to jump in?
I could just go real quick.
Go ahead, Ms. Hargrove.
And, like I said in my little last statement, if you running and you concerned about community violence, you concerned about kids having a future in our city, I think you should do your due diligence and tap in with these different grassroots organizations in the city. You need to stop by Paterson Healing Collective. You need to speak to Just Figueroa and Miss Bland over at Jumpstart. You need to tap in with Jordan Henry and invest time, monies, funding, whatever you can into our youth. Right? I don't think it's no other way. Right? Again, these programs shouldn't be worried about losing funding. They should just be worried about how they're going to spend funding to
Yeah.
support their children and their families. So if you're running for a seat, and you worried about public safety and our children, I think tap into the folks that are doing the work and have been doing the work for years in our town, right? And not to take too much time, but the schools as well,
Yes.
right? These I saw a comment earlier, like we have to reach them early and get into the schools and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. You know, these grassroots organizations, these organizations who are trying to fight crime and trying to fight the next shooting from happening, trying to stop beefs. These folks need to have a partnership with Paterson Public Schools. Like I don't, it's not rocket science to me, right? Expand Jordan Henry's program,
Yes.
expand Jumpstart,
Yes.
expand Patterson Healing.
Yes.
Like what I don't get it. Like it's not crazy to me. It's simple for me, right? Get the people who know how to reach these folks into the schools, right? We can stop some of these beefs in the school where a lot of them take place because a lot of them start in the school, right? Bring back safe passage, right? Because kids be running to school. You could stand on Market Street or Park Ave and you see kids running to school, hoodie, ski mask, no matter the weather. Kids getting off of school buses, they running. It's not because they trying to hurry up and make it home. They don't feel safe, right? So safe passage. our police, I know, we're undermanned and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
but a presence has to be felt.
Yeah.
They have to see a presence. And in collaboration with the police department and grassroots organizations, Safe Passage is that'll be a game changer in our
Yeah.
town,
Yeah.
right? If they see Ra outside, they see Ted outside, they see Just outside on the corner, right? They're kind of less likely to get into something because, oh, they go, right? It's seeing people from their neighborhood who want to see the community safe, right? And make sure they get home to and from school safe. That matters,
That matters.
right? So just a few ideas. And, like I said, if you're watching, these just some things that I've been thinking about and folks have been doing for some time now. Put more resources to that.
Yes. Justice, you want to come on and have final remarks?
Yeah, I just want to say first and foremost, to Quan and Ra, because I don't think people realize, or put enough emphasis on the work that they do
Mm-hmm.
and the dangers that's associated with it. It's not easy going out there in them trenches with them guys, because some of them you can get through to, some of them will listen, but then some of them are just so bent on being who they are and doing what they do. It's a danger involved in it within itself. So when you have people like that are boots on the ground like that are stepping to these kids in that type of way, what Teddy do, I'm out there in the trenches. It's not easy, and it's not for the faint of heart. You
Mm-mm.
know what I'm saying? And again, you know, to piggyback a little bit on what Quan was just saying, more resources. If you are a candidate for any office, whether it be mayor, whether it be city council, so on and so forth, if you want to run our public safety, then we're going to hold you to that fire on that.
Hold.
You know what I'm saying? Because if more resources have to be poured into this community, because one of the things when you talk to a lot of these young people, one of the things that they're frustrated with, because when you go to them and you try to tell them about all the alternatives that's available to them, to get out of the streets and all of the other stuff, but then they say, okay, where's that? What do we have to offer them besides
Mm-hmm.
talk? You
Right.
know, what do we have? So they say, okay, you want me to get out the streets, but I got to take care of myself. My mother's out there getting high. My father's in prison. I got 3 other little siblings at home. So you want me to get out the streets and stop gangbanging and doing what I'm doing. But what are you offering me in exchange for that? Where can
Yes.
I go get the resources at? But so it's like we just preaching to them, but we're not
Mm-hmm.
giving them nothing real, nothing solid. But these politicians and these legislatures can legislate to get that funding and the stuff that we need in these communities to really offer them something real that they can touch. Because when you talk to a lot of these kids and you ask them, why they're not part of the process, why they don't want to get involved in voting, and why they don't want to get involved in the community. And one of the things they always say, oh, that stuff don't benefit us, man. Ain't nothing gonna change. Y'all ain't gonna do nothing. Y'all just talking. So we got to change that narrative by getting the resources we need to show them that change is real, the resources are available, and if you do get out of the streets, we can steer you or get you in a direction to help you to, some financial stability and to get your family on track. So anybody that's running for office, if you're serious about public safety and you're serious about change, then pour into these communities, pour into these organizations, and let's get it done.
Yes. Thank you so much, Justice. Rashawn, you want to come on? Wow.
Yeah, yes. Thanks for sharing, everybody. To the community, I would like for the community, if you don't want to get involved, at least back, the ones that's doing the work, help us out. Not put yourself in danger, but whatever you can do, talk to your nephew, talk to your niece, talk to your son, and tell them who we are, and let them know where they can find us at, or you show them where they can find us at, and tell them to tap in with us. Let them know that it's some people out there that's doing work. Uh, my reward is, and the reason why I'm a doer, right? I do the work. I, if I have to come on on a talk show like this and talk about it, I will. But first
Mm-hmm.
and foremost, I'm showing up. I'm proactive and I'm reactive if I have to react. But first and foremost, I'm proactive. We got to continue to fight. And again, like I said before, if I'm not Christian and you're Christian, invite me. Let me come to the church. Bring me in. If I'm not Muslim, bring me to the mosque. Let the Muslim brothers know we approachable. Like I'm approachable. I don't have to
Mm-hmm.
be a frat brother. I don't have to be sorority sisters. Like call us in, bring us in. Like if y'all don't know what to do with these young folk out here, get in touch with us and let us know, like, yo, I'm gonna send some guys to your program. We have Paterson
Yeah.
Hillen is very effective. We could snatch them off the street. They got somewhere to come. Jumpstart, tell them they got people to tap
Mm-hmm.
into and touch to, but a lot of people won't do it until something happen. And in closing, what happened yesterday is still out and it's still it's hurting the whole community. But what's gonna happen next week in 2 weeks when everything is quiet? Everybody gonna go back in their corners and we still gonna
Right.
be doing our work, right? We still gonna be out there on Front Street. So we gotta have this same energy as if
Yeah.
somebody got shot. Every day we gotta still have this same energy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people in this town. And let's narrow it down to our community and our folk, right? Let's just narrow it down to that, right? We got so many our folk in this town that they just don't have the energy and the and they don't want to get involved
Mm-hmm.
because it's not their they figure it's not their problem, but it could be their problem because it could happen
Yes.
to anybody. It could happen to anybody. You don't have to be out there. You could just be walking through, driving through a bullet. The other side of that bullet don't have no name on it.
Yes.
So we have to have the same energy that we have right now. We got to keep this energy. I have this energy every day I wake up. I want to save lives. I want to help somebody heal. I want to practice peace. I want to show somebody the way. That's it.
Thank you so much, Rashawn. Ted, you want to add your final words?
Yeah, so I'm gonna say that restoratively, it's a lot of relationships. First of all, we gotta have a Jesus talk among the community and among a lot of these community organizations because we could get on this panel and people could comment and chime in. And as Rashawn just stated, what I'm saying, what happens next week? Like next week was already something that was already on our radar. This week already something on our radar. We've been fighting
Mm-hmm.
for balance since 2008, 2009. Project Reconnect has been a 501c3. We've been fighting in the community, doing marches, ceasefires, working with juveniles, helping them get jobs and everything with no funding at all. And we helped, several organizations to get on the ground. And, so I think that one thing that we have to learn to do, and and I'm not saying this disrespectfully, I'm just saying that I have no faith in any of the city council members right now
Mm-hmm.
as a body. I'm gonna say as a body, as a whole. So it's clear because I know I'm gonna get a phone call and they're gonna say, but as a whole, I have no faith in the city council people at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because one, when have they ever, other than the CB Block grant, give in the last since 2009, given any organization or any what's name any type of money or created any type of policies that bring any type of money in the city?
Mm-hmm.
Never since 2009. And if I'm wrong, prove it. And I'm not talking about CBD Block grant that
Right.
those uh who get that money.
Right.
That money is earmarked. So when have they ever sat down and created any type of policies or anything to bring to grassroots organizations? It never has happened.
Mm-hmm.
I say this, right? You know, it's certain people, like I'm gonna mention like Florio. He's that reach out to us like, what can I do to help? What we need to do as a community, we need to hold the community accountable. We shouldn't have to tap into developers or any other type of businesses to say, listen, can you help us? Because we want to put on a program here in which, that individual helps over a dozen organizations throughout the city, right? So when it comes to the community, we need to really hold up political people accountable. You know what I'm saying? And get out the friend zone with them. Because a lot of those people are our friends. So we're in the friend zone. We don't want to hold them accountable. Oh, I like
Mm-hmm.
this person, so I'm gonna vote for this person. Nah, how we gonna vote to move the city forward? You
Right.
know, uh, and in reference to the CBI groups and the safe passages, I think that a lot of us, I don't need no money to go out there to do safe passes. So I encourage. So what can we do? I challenge any man, any day, get with us, get with me, and say let's go out there and do safe passes for these kids until we can get some money.
Mm-hmm.
Because while we sitting here waiting on them, sitting on them kids and study dying, we've been waiting on them for a long time.
Yeah.
We did a whole truce in 215 with no money at all. And we work with every day, every single day, 12 times a day, 15 times a day. I'm on the phone with Jordan with one of these kids. Every day, all day long, 7 o'clock in the morning. Ted.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's so what we need with that option, we need men. What we need men, what we propose is that we need men to get involved. As Rashawn Davis stated, we need more men to get involved. We need more men to come back and say, like, like, what can we do to get involved? And okay, in closing, like I'm saying, like, we have to create independent wealth because we keep waiting on them. So if y'all really want to sit down, like people, like really, we gotta get out our own way sometime. Y'all want
Yes.
to really sit down and come down and have a conversation with Barbara and I, because this lady, that's my wife. Sometimes she make me mad, and I make her mad all the time. Kamisha knows, she's been in the room with us. So what I'm saying, that this lady is a genius when it comes down to creating avenues, to get revenues, so you could be self-sufficient in the community. It's not a lot of money, but it's some money to do a little bit, like buy food for the kid, buy clothes for them. Because some of them kids come around, people like, oh, they don't smell good, they dirty, because they wearing dirty clothes. They actually going into dirty clothes, picking
Yes.
out dirty clothes because they don't have money to wash clothes.
Yes.
You ask some of them, like, when the last time you washed clothes? Oh, it's been like 2 months. 2 months? That's
It's,
unheard of for all of us on this call. But yet and still, we send them back to their house under that what's the name. So I think that we just have to provide resources to the young people and to the community. I encourage the community, go on commission. If you got no other job that's hiring, don't send me the list of felony friendly jobs. No, I want to know, do you have connections to help these young people get jobs?
get jobs. Yes.
ID, we could walk them. I know Quan, and I don't know if they still do that PAC. We could walk them in, and we have specific days at motor vehicle where we can actually, they don't need an appointment. We can help them get IDs. Social Securities, as long as they got their Social Security, we could teach them how to get their Social Security. Birth certificate, you born in the city of Paterson, it's free. If you don't born in Paterson, we help you get it. So when it come down to monies and resources, that's the type of stuff that you need to help
Yeah.
pay for stuff like that. So like I said, we've been around since 2009. So I've worked with every sitting mayor, every council person, and we're going to continue to work with every sitting mayor and council person until God tells us that we're not going to do it no more, or to Barbara say,
Yeah.
I'm putting a plug on everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, and so again, Jordan, again, we on the phone dozen times a day. We need help, bro. We
Yes.
really need men to stand up and say, we got Rashawn, and he's on the phone with us all day. You know what I'm saying? Like every day we on the phone like 4, 6, 7, 8 times talking about what happened. This kid, can you call this kid? This kid is going through this. This kid, go up to the east side, go to it's tiring. So we need men in the community to get on Facebook and social media and Instagram and get in community.
Yeah.
Meet us at Eastside. Meet us at 60 Carroll Street, 60 Temple. And then recreation, Lieutenant, they're working on a recreation at 60 Temple, y'all. So they right now, I know Quan probably know, they building that out. That should be like a recreation. So there's positive, there's some things that's happening in the city
Yeah.
of Paterson. So like, and also solid. Get your kids
Yes.
involved in solid. You know what I'm saying? They
Mm-hmm.
got skateboarded. You know what I'm saying? Like sit them down there. Jumpstart. PAC. This options, y'all. But we got, again, men. We gotta be in the forefront of this. March 2nd, we got the march. We're gonna be at Eastside Park. And I expect to see a bunch of men out there. Like a
Yeah.
bunch of men. Just men standing in the front or behind, however they schedule it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's my spill. Hold the political people that's running
Mm-hmm.
council accountable and get out the friend zone. Stop
That's the
getting mad.
word.
Get out the mat. Stop being mad because your friend is not doing what they're supposed to do, or somebody
Right.
disagree. It's okay to disagree. Yeah, you know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
That was great. Real Sean, closing remarks.
I'll be quick. I'm gonna place it on us.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the best ways for a young man to be a man is to see a man.
Mm.
Right? Whether you're us as fathers, us as parents, teachers, educators, police, fire, whatever we are. I mean, we need the best that we need to be the best that we can be. Everybody always talking about being leaders in our community and our families, or whatever the case may be. But if you want these women and children to follow us, we got to give them something to follow. I mean, so we got to stand up as men the way that we're supposed to be as men. What I do see a lot in our community, that there's a lot of people that don't connect because of nonsense. Maybe it's some animosity that's there from some past bull, you know. Maybe it's some envy or some jealousy. It's some hate for whatever this person is doing. You get the same 24 hours as that man.
Yes.
But if he's good at one thing and you good at another, you need to collaborate, because that's what we all spoke about on this on this live right here, was collaboration. I mean, it's collaboration. I mean, and I don't want to just come in and help you out and collaborate with you. You come and collaborate with me. If I'm doing something, you got to add to it. I hear too much of somebody do something and it's why they ain't have this, or they should have did it this way, or why they ain't do that. Why you ain't come and add on to what I was doing? Why you ain't come and you know, if you know a DJ that could have done it better and can help spin, or you could have dropped off some donuts to the quarter zip sweater brunch. You could have, you know, you could have just came and spoke to the children. You could have just came and just gave, you know, sometimes presence is charity.
Yeah.
Sometimes just you being there.
Yes.
These are powerful men that's on this call.
Yes.
Just walking into a room, I mean, can change, you know, everything of that room. I mean, we gotta love each other too. We gotta be there for each other. We gotta support each other. I remember when the snowstorm came, and I know what Rashawn Dixon do. What I do, Rashawn, when that snowstorm came, I hit him up, yo. You know, he was like, yo, I missed your call. I was cleaning up. I'm just making sure you was good, B. That's it. Just making sure you was good. You know what I mean? Because sometimes, you know, us thinking about each other, you know, us supporting each other, us, because we may be going through something at certain times. And you know how selfish, or not just selfish, you know how petty we is. I'm good. We're the kings of I'm good. I'm all right. But we ain't. We suffer in silence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We self-medicate. And the kids see that. So we need to be better husbands. We need to be better boyfriends. We need to be better fathers. We need to be better camaraderie with you know, within our men's circle. I love what Jason Rogers and Jason Moody and them do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I used to love to see, you know, when the street sweepers will go out there, you know, and you know, that's action. People be online talking all this nonsense, man. If you don't like what I'm doing, do better. At least the general population of our community will benefit.
Yeah.
You don't like what I'm doing, outdo me. And I'm good with that, because I know that the children and the women in our community is going to benefit from it, and I'm okay with that. So in closing, I would say I'm putting it on us as men. Stop the envy, stop the animosity. We need to collaborate realistically, not just talking about it, not just saying that we are, but put action behind it. Whatever somebody doing, you ain't gotta come and drop 16 on the mic. Nah, you can stand by me, help me out. Yo, if I ain't doing something that if I ain't doing something 100% correct that you think, help me, help me. Give me a call, Sean. You know, it'd be good if you can flip that. Appreciate that, because that's just going to make things better for the community that I'm trying to help. I mean, so stop standing by, stop talking nonsense on Facebook, and get active, because we need more men, boots on the ground, doing what they're supposed to do, whether it's conversations, activities, organizations, events, whatever the case may be. We just need to be more active. I appreciate you guys. Always love, peace, and respect.
Thank you, each and every one of you, for agreeing to come on and having this conversation. Yes, there is so much more we could have elaborated on and talked about, and we would be here for hours and days. But I do believe that this conversation spoke on some very important things. a call to action to our community, to our men, and my call to action is to our women. When we see our men standing up, let's support them. Let's get behind them, whatever. If it's to feed them, just to, I'm like I said, I used to be with Men Stand Up with Street Keepers. If it's just to stand on the sidelines for that young man who might need a hug after they heard everything that Rashawn and them had to say, we go there to give them a hug that they can't get from their mother, that they need from us women. We need all hands on deck. And I think when it comes to our leadership community, we have to hold them accountable to their jobs and to their role in helping to alleviate what we're seeing happening in our community, because they do have some power to help us get this done. But community, we have to show them better than we can tell them. And we have to stand up for our community, for our children, and for each other. Again, usually we do on Unmuted a community highlight, but I want to highlight every organization that's on here today. Paterson Healing Collective, Jumpstart, Project Reconnect, Bronze Heat, and Bronze Shield. All of these great organizations are out here, boots on the ground, doing what they can to help our community. And I want to clap it up to them and to the great men here sitting here that represents each one of them, but not just the organization. These are Paterson sons who are still here doing the work, and we as a community need to step up and stand behind them. Again, thank you all for being here today. The community is asking for contact information. I have everybody's contact information except for Justice. So Justice, if you stay on the call, all of you stay on the call, because I want to just give you a private thank you. But just make sure I get your contact information, because I want to be able to list that for the community so they know who to talk to, whether it's emails or whatever. I have everybody's information except for Justice. To the community, thank you for joining us again for Unmuted. We are here every first and third Sunday of the month to educate and empower our community. We actually will be back here next week, actually, though, because we will be having one of the mayoral candidates on to speak to the why should we elect them, and so I want you guys to come back on next week to talk and ask the questions that you need to ask. Community, let's not stop here. Before I go, I just want to say again, this is not just talk. We're going to put action to this. Let's not stop here. Let's really collaborate and do what we need to do to save our sons, our daughters, and our community. Thank you guys so much for being here. Paterson, New Jersey, stand up. And this is the end. Thank you.